What was that?
Support your local fascist, I guess.
What does fascist mean?
Fascism is an Italian right-wing political movement that originated in Italy and was inspired by Hitler and Mussolini.
Yes. And does Donald Trump fall in that?
Yes, he does use tactics from the fascist playbook.
Like wanting to protect gun rights and lowering taxes and...
Not those policies, but his ways of rising to power are very fascist-like.
Democratically?
Well, that is how Hitler rose to power, was through democratic
So
process.
Bernie's trying to as well.
Yes, but he's
Correct,
not.
but Bernie's not a fascist.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I'm just wondering, as like a white male in this country, I don't want you to get, but like, you know, you guys have it better than a lot of everyone else.
You're fucking a white male! You're a white man!
You know who's the best in this country?
Who?
Indian American men. Have
Okay,
the highest
hold on.
median income.
Can I just ask you?
Well, yeah, but your
Okay, so
premise
as
is
a white male in this country, what do you have that you, like, what do you want that you don't have already?
I want our nation to enforce its laws.
And
want
what
a
are those
nation-
laws that you want to enforce?
That legal immigrants are good and accepted, and we want legal immigrants.
Yeah.
If you break our laws and you come into our country illegally, that it's a crime and it's a problem. And in Texas, 30% of murders are committed by illegal immigrants. 80% of women, according to Huffington Post, who cross the border, are getting raped. You know, this is a magnet.
When are they getting raped?
During the border crossing.
During the border crossing by the coyotes that they're bringing them over?
Probably. Yeah.
Probably, or you don't know this for sure?
I don't know who's doing the rape. Somebody's doing the
Do you
rape.
consider Huffington Post to be like a valid and good source?
Well, it actually came from Amnesty International, is where it came from originally. So
Okay.
I would consider Amnesty International to be reliable. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, look, you have a dangerous area. The border's very dangerous. There are criminals down there. There are coyotes who are very dangerous. There are other illegal immigrants who can be dangerous as well. And so, you know, these women are getting raped. 80% of them. This is, you know, girls as young as 13.
Yeah, but
And
my
so
question is,
why don't we shut that valve off so that these women aren't in these dangerous
how
situations?
does building the wall help with rape in America? Because white women get raped. One in, I believe, 4 or 5 of my peers, myself included,
Not true.
will be sexually assaulted. That is true.
It's not true. I mean, that fact has been disproven multiple times.
That fact is true.
No, the 1 in 5. It's not true.
That, I mean, it won't be necessarily vaginal to...
Have you looked inside the study? It's an exceptionally small sample size for only a handful of
It's not talking about, like, penis to vaginal sexual rape. It's talking about sexual harassment and sexual
Oh, so
assault and
sexual
everything.
harassment. So
Sexual harassment and sexual...
Okay, so then be honest. Don't say it's going to be rape. Don't say.
I didn't say it was going to be rape. I said there's going to be 1 in 5 women that you know, that I know,
Okay.
myself included, that could be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. Do you think that statistics is okay?
Harassment or assault? I mean, you're playing linguistic games with me here.
Harassment and assault.
You're playing games with me. Is it harassment or assault? Which is it? They're two different
different
charges.
things, yes, but as a male, my question is,
No, but
why isn't
what's
this
the
a relevant
answer?
thing to you, though?
Sophia, what's the answer? Is it harassment or is it assault?
It's both. That's
No,
both a
but the
huge
statistic
issue.
1 in 5
The
is it?
statistic is assault.
Okay, assault.
Every single 99.99% of women will be sexually harassed, in my opinion. I've been sexually harassed countless times.
So most men, to be honest with you.
Okay, so then my question is like, why then do you want to portray a candidate who doesn't care and doesn't believe, who has been called out as grabbing a woman by the pussy, which is sexual?
Not if they consent to it.
The woman he was talking about did not consent to it. She was a married woman who said that she did not want that.
No, I mean you're mixing it up. What he was talking about, the first woman going furniture shopping, he said that he moved on her and he tried to engage her and she rejected him. He didn't then go and grab her. You know, he said that he stopped. You got to listen to the tape. You got to listen to the transcript. And be very careful with your facts, because if you don't have the right facts, you'll end up answering the wrong question. So
Yes, we're totally fine. Okay.
I know some.
yeah. Yeah, no, so I mean you gotta be real careful with the facts, because that's not what he said on the tape. He said that when you're a star, they let you do it. When you're a star, they consent to it. Women are more attracted to men who are celebrities. I mean, that's what he has found. That's what we see for most people in Hollywood. You know? Right. That's a good question.
Sheriff, your thoughts on the president's comments? Well, you know, Barack Obama for 7+ years has played the race card that every time somebody criticized him, it was because he was black, and it scared off a lot of Republicans. So now they're going to switch and try to play the gender card. The problem is the American public is tired of this class warfare. The reason why they don't like Mrs. Bill Clinton is not because she's a woman. It's because she's dishonest and because she is hiding something. She's hiding the truth. She tries to play herself off as a victim, like she's Little Red Riding Hood, but she's more like the big bad wolf. As soon as you turn your back on you, she'll bite you. Now look, this is politics. It's a contact sport. It's not for the faint of heart. My response to what President Obama said is, if she can't stand the heat, she should get out of the kitchen.
Julie?
Well, first and foremost, I think you just proved my point, Sheriff. And, you and I were not numbered last week, and I love you, but she's not Mrs. Bill Clinton. She happens to be Hillary Rodham Clinton, who's her own person and is running as her own individual. She's a former senator. She's a Secretary of State. She's not Mrs. Bill Clinton, and I think you just encapsulated exactly why a lot of women think that
it's not my job to give you her bio.
It's not her bio, but it's also not your job to assume that she's just the little woman who's married to
She
Mr.
has run with that name for a long time.
Well, she's run for that name because she happens to be married to the former president, but she's certainly not Mrs. Bill Clinton.
She should embrace it.
Well, no, she actually shouldn't embrace it. She should embrace the fact that she's a very accomplished lawyer in her own right, a very accomplished woman in her own right.
Let me ask you this, Julie. Let me ask you this. Do you think there's something to the notion that many Americans find the idea of a female president somehow threatening? Do you think there's anything to that?
I unfortunately I do, and it's a shame because I think, but you have polling showing, poll after poll showing, you have Anna Greenberg, who is a very prominent pollster, saying that her numbers went up when she focused specifically on women's issues, whether it's standing by her man when she was First Lady after the Monica Lewinsky scandal, or working on traditional women's issues, or even working as Secretary of State for Barack Obama, who's a man, but her numbers are not so great when she's running for something, when she's working in healthcare reform, when she's become a principal and taken on roles that are traditionally men's roles. And I think, unfortunately, I hate to say this because as a woman who is living in the 21st century, I would hope this is not the case, but empirical data shows, unfortunately, that it is the case.
Mm-hmm. Sheriff, I remember 8 years ago, when Sarah Palin was on the Republican ticket, they were doing full articles about how she was going to balance her situation of having, I think, 5 kids and being vice president. It was just like, basically, for lack of a better term, screw you for writing that, right? Because nobody was wondering how Barack Obama was going to balance having 2 kids.
Yep.
So it's, I mean,
Megan, you
still
took the
there
words
to
out
some
of
extent.
my mouth.
Go ahead.
When you mentioned Sarah Palin, because the way the Democrats treated Sarah Palin was nothing short of shameful. Also, the way they treated Condoleezza Rice when she was the Secretary of State, they did the same thing. So all of a sudden, when it's one of those women who gets close to the White House, then it's okay to trash them. But when it's one of their women, then they try to play the victim card. America's tired of that stuff right now. She should stand on her own 2 feet. Take the heat. Look, this is for the presidency of the United States. Nobody's going to feel sorry for her.
Right.
Nobody's going to back down. I'm glad Donald Trump's not handling her with kid gloves.
I guess what Simone's saying, Betsy, emotions are clearly still raw. This was a very hard-fought campaign, and there are still many issues that we are left with a question mark. But don't you think the Trump campaign should be, gracious in victory?
I think the Trump campaign has been very gracious in victory, but what disturbs me the most is to see the Democratic Party leaders and spokespeople like Simone are still making false accusations of racism, in fact, behaving like racists themselves. For example, when the Trump campaign nominated Senator Sessions to be Attorney General, he is a civil rights hero, and yet right away they tried to accuse him of being a racist.
Betsy,
I even hear Simone say that a white
and
person should not lead the Democratic Party. What could be more racist than that?
Okay,
Betsy,
so hold on, please, Simone. We're trying not to get back to the campaign. I'm trying to get, Betsy, I just asked, can the campaign be gracious in accepting his victory? You gave me one line and then you went into the criticism.
The Democratic Party making false accusations of racism, and one reason Donald Trump won is that Americans are sick and tired of reverse racism, and that's what they heard from Hillary Clinton from the beginning. She would go in front of audiences and tell black people that they are the victims of systemic racism, and that was a lie.
All right, Betsy, let's stop there. Simone, hold on. Simone, hold on a second, please. I will let you respond, You don't have to shout over me both. Go ahead, Simone.
People of color in America are victims of systemic racism. And I really think it's important to note that while the Trump campaign, yes, they won. Donald Trump is going to be the next president. There's still some real underlying issues. The rhetoric that the campaign elevated, these fringe elements that they brought into mainstream, like these are things that people in America are still dealing with. That is why we are having conversations about racism and white supremacy. And the Trump campaign and the Republicans have to at least own that so we can move forward.
All right.
We don't
Hold
own
on,
it
Simone.
because those
Betsy,
accusations of
is there
white
a way that you
racism
can,
are
is there
false.
Simone, Betsy, is there a way you can listen to a counter argument, not shout back?
I did listen to it, but I don't appreciate these accusations of racism because they are untrue. And the only reason that people like Simone constantly label their opponents as racist is they don't have an argument they can win on the merits.
You spoke a bit about the the boost and the negation of the SAT scores that black applicants may receive with comparison to Asian people or in comparison to white people.
Yeah, I spoke about the Princeton study, correct.
And you also spoke about how there is not an equality of outcome in this nation. So with regard to this...
No, there is inequality of outcome.
Yeah.
There's no inequality of opportunity, yes.
Yes.
In the sense that there's no government obstacles. They're inequality, just to clarify before you finish the question, I promise, I'll let you finish. When I say there's no inequalities of opportunity, I obviously don't mean that we are all equally situated. I will never be an NBA basketball player. It's never going to happen. Although I could probably make the Lakers roster, they're that bad, but go ahead.
Given that you contend that there is an equality of opportunity in this nation, do you think it is right for the government to pursue, or like for federal cases to say that in some cases policies like affirmative action targeting certain ethnic groups are correct, and doing this, does it acknowledge white privilege, or do we should just leave this sort of policies totally out even though there is inequality of outcome?
No, so my answer about affirmative action and government policies that are meant to rectify these inequalities of outcome, no, I'm very much opposed to those. If you have two people who have equal SAT scores, and one of them happens to have had a bad childhood with obstacles to overcome, and one happens to have grown up in a very rich household, then that's an actual factor that has to be taken into account. But if somebody gets an SAT score that's 200 points below somebody else, and the only differentiating factor is their race, that's racism. I mean, I remember a few years back, there was a story in the Wall Street Journal about an Asian kid who got like a 1510 on his SATs when it was out of 1600, and he grew up extremely poor, single mother, it was a rough neighborhood, so he had to study in his closet for fear of gunshots and all this stuff, and he applied to Yale, didn't get in, and he didn't get in because he was Asian. If he'd been black, he would have gotten in. I mean, that sort of stuff is just racism pure and simple. I don't understand why Colin Powell's kid is not worse off than that Asian kid was. And we're all differently situated, so let's look at each other as individuals. There's some black people who have it really bad in this country. There's some black people who have it really great in this country. There are a lot of white people who have it really bad in this country. There are more white people on food stamps than black people, by a large margin. There are more white people on welfare than black people by a large margin, which is not to suggest that black people are not on average poorer than white people, because they are. But we're going to be in a much better position to do justice when we stop focusing so much on the perversion that's known as social justice. Social justice stands in direct contravention and opposition to justice. Justice is about you take action, you get what you deserve. Social justice is about you take action, and we may or may not give you what you deserve based on what we think your social group deserves.
This idea that celebrities are these fragile wallflowers, give me a break. You and I both know people in Hollywood.
Because she acted in a movie,
Hollywood
you rallied people.
are sitting at home crying into their iPhones.
Why didn't you stand up, as people called her, ape, gorilla, and worse, and say, guys, this is good to do, but not racism.
Why should I have to police other people's speech?
Stand up for rights.
I'm responsible.
Why not stand up for the rights?
I'm responsible for what I say. I'm perfectly happy to tell you I think that stuff is disgusting.
So you had
I'm
no
perfectly happy to
obligation
tell
for your 350,000 followers.
Does Justin Bieber have an obligation to his fans?
On this woman.
I'm sorry for being popular, but I am not responsible for what 350,000 people on the internet say. I am responsible for what I say.
All right.
Do you go after Selena Gomez when her fans send death threats to Justin Bieber? No. Do you go after Beyonce when her fans go after Taylor Swift? No.
One of his hot topics
When they wanted to have me removed from Pershing Square, a public space in the center of Los Angeles.
is the female physique. You're going to go after somebody's body?
Yeah.
To denigrate their ideas? What grade are you in? Seriously?
No.
Are you a 13-year-old boy?
No. Absolutely, I will, and I'll tell you why.
Because somebody
the
doesn't
body
have a
positive-
weight that you think
it
is
is
proper?
so-
That's revolting.
No, it's not
Yes,
revolting.
it is.
No, it's not. I'll tell you what's revolting. What's revolting is the body positivity movement. What's revolting is this idea now that you can tell women that they'll be healthy at any size. Why? Because it tells women that you can be fat and you can be unattractive and you'll be happy anyway. That's a lie.
Feminists are another target.
I would rather a healthier, equitable arrangement that existed between the sexes, rather than the sort of vindictive feminism that seems to exist now. And by the way, most people agree with me. Fewer than 1 in 5 women in America describe themselves as a feminist because they see what I see. These pathological, sociopathic, feminist liars in popular culture. It is insisted upon us that we all pay obeisance to the cult of Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer. They're put on the cover of the magazines, and we're all expected to pretend that we like them. Well, we don't like them.
I like Amy Schumer. She's
Nobody
funny.
likes
She
them.
makes me laugh.
Oh, please.
A lot.
Oh, God. Well, you must have very low standards for comedy, I'm telling you. Not very much makes me laugh from Amy Schumer. These are terrible, talentless people that we are instructed that we must like unless... Then the sort of subtext is, you know, if you don't like them, you're some kind of bigot somehow. With my name-calling and with my provocation and with my bad manners, you know, I think actually America's had enough of nice manners. If my rudeness creates conversation, my rudeness provokes people into, first of all, saying, oh, what a monster, blah, 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 and then 20% of people start talking about what I was actually saying, I will consider my career to have been a terrific success.
In the Twitter storm
sure,
that happened, you called her a dude.
I said it's a good job there's a hot black dude in the movie. She looks like a man. I am entitled to say that I think a celebrity looks weird.
You think that's fair comment and
Of course
a
it's
decent
fair comment.
thing
That's
and
like
a
the
civil
definition
thing
of
to
fair
do?
comment.
You
May not be
think
a civil
that's-
thing to do. If you don't like it, don't follow me on Twitter.